So this is third video in the tubercular spine video series. In this video we will talk about drug resistance to the first line drug. So we have already covered a part of it in the second video. So briefly revising it, so we should know what all patients are predisposed to the drug resistance. So patient who already had a contact with MDR-TB patient who had already taken treatment for the TB, either tubercular spine or any other pathology, TB lymph node or TB lung, or the patient has a poor adherence and there is premature stopping of the treatment in the past. So these three patients, they are predisposed to the drug resistant to the first line drug. And when to suspect for the drug resistance, if there is a lack of clinical and radiological improvement, if there is a appearance of new lesion, if there is a distance of the previous scar. So we have discussed what are the clinical points to look for in the follow-up and radiological points to look for. So other than these 3 points, lack of the improvement, appearance of new lesion and distance of the previous scar. If the patient is also having increase in the bone destruction after 3 to 5 months, we can suspect for the drug resistance. Now how to confirm the drug resistance? So we have discussed in our previous video. We have the 3 tests: gene expert test, we have line probe assay, and we have drug sensitivity test. So by these tests, which we have discussed in detail in the previous video, we can confirm for the drug resistance to the first line drug. Now talking about what are the definitions of the drug resistance. So most commonly used term is the MDR-TB, which is the multi-drug resistant TB. So it is basically resistance to the rifampicin and isoniazid. So resistance to the both is known as the multi-drug resistance TB. If the resistance is only to rifampicin, it is known as rifampicin resistance TB. And if it is resistance to only isoniazid, it is known as isoniazid resistance TB. But if it is resistance to both of these drugs, it is known as the multi-drug resistance. So other than multi-drug resistance, other terminology that is used is the XDR-TB, extreme drug resistance TB. So in this, there is resistance to both rifampicin and the isoniazid, that is MDR-TB, and there is resistance to the second line drugs, which is there is resistance to the injectable aminoglycoside and there is resistance to the fluoroquinolone. So it covers 3 points. It covers rifampicin and isoniazid, it covers injectable aminoglycoside, and it covers fluoroquinolone. So in these cases, it is known as XDR-TB. So once we have determined what kind of resistance is that, we can label it to be MDR-TB or the XDR-TB. Now there are some reactions which mimic the resistance. So this is known as paradoxical reaction. So in some group of patients which are on ATT, they initially improves on ATT, but later on they had a worsening of the sign and symptoms in the absence of other diagnosis or in the absence of drug resistance. So on biopsy, we see that there is still sensitivity to the drug, but patient is still worsening and the patient has initially improved. So this phenomena is known as paradoxical reaction. So how it is different from the resistance. So in case of resistance, the patient initially remains stationary or it worsens on ATT. But here in case of paradoxical response, the patient initially shows a improvement and later on shows a worsening. And also on biopsy or gene expert and the other test, patient has still sensitivity to the first line drugs. So drug sensitivity may still show up sensitive and susceptible organism. So what to do in these patients is we can do nothing but to continue with the same line of drugs and patient will respond to these drugs. So this is known as the phenomena known as the TB iris. This is the immune reconstitution inflammatory syndrome. This paradoxical reaction is also known as TB iris, which is immune reconstitution inflammatory syndrome. So in this syndrome, as we have discussed, the patient will initially improve in the symptoms and or radiological finding, but later on there occur a paradoxical deterioration of the symptoms at either at the same site or at the new site. So also at the same time there is absence of any other cause of this deterioration. So most common symptoms the patient will present with is the recurrent fever, enlarged lymph nodes and worsening dyspnea may present. Patient may present with these symptoms in case of paradoxical reaction. And the most commonly sites involved are the lymph nodes and lungs, irrespective of the primary site. Primary site here is the spine, but in case of the new lesion, the patient will come with the lesion in the lymph nodes and in the lungs. That is the reason the patient comes with the worsening dyspnea and enlarged lymph node. So this is the paradoxical and the TB iris phenomena, which is different from the drug resistance. So most of these cases they resolve spontaneously and we need to just continue with the first line management. Now that we have confirmed that our patient is having drug resistance and the patient is not having a paradoxical phenomena. So in those cases we need to move on to the second line drugs. So firstly we should know what all second line of drugs are available. So we have divided into 4 groups. So first group include fluoroquinolones. So example of fluoroquinolones we have ofloxacin, levofloxacin, moxifloxacin and gatifloxacin. So these doses need to be remembered for the individual drug. So first group is the fluoroquinolone. Second group is the injectable aminoglycoside group. It includes streptomycin, kanamycin, amikacin and capreomycin. So this is the injectable aminoglycoside group which has streptomycin, kanamycin, amikacin and capreomycin. Group C has the other drugs. What all other drugs? We have ethionamide, prothionamide, cycloserine, trazodone, linezolid and clofazimine. So this group C has these drugs and we need to remember the dose to start with the patient with. So these are the drugs in the group C. And finally we have the group D, which is the add-on drugs. So we have the combination of the drugs as D1, D2 and D3. So in D1 we have pyrazinamide, ethambutol and high dose of isoniazid. So this is the first line drug. In D2 we have bedaquiline and dilamidine. In D3 we have para-aminosalicylic acid, imipenem and meropenem. Also clavulanate and thioacetone. So these 3 group of drugs is in the group D. So we have 4 groups we have discussed. First is the fluoroquinolone. Second is the injectable aminoglycoside. Third is the other drugs. And then we have the group D, which is the combination of these drugs. Now these are all the drugs that are available in case of the second line drug management. Now how to proceed with the patient? So second line drugs, they should be started after testing the drug sensitivity. So after testing the drug sensitivity test we have discussed, which is a culture based test. So after, whenever it is possible, we should first check the sensitivity of the drug. Then we can start the second line drug. Always a minimum of 4 drugs should be started. Injectable aminoglycoside we have discussed. Amikacin, streptomycin, kanamycin, capreomycin. They should be used for a minimum of 2 months. And never should a single drug should be started, and not a stepwise addition should be done. Always straightly a 4 drugs should be started to begin with. Not a single drug and no stepwise addition should be done. Duration is at least 2 years, 24 months. So talking about the MDR or rifampicin resistant TB, so we will start with at least 5 drugs in the intensive phase, including pyrazinamide and we have started the 4 second line drugs. So one drug is the pyrazinamide which will be starting and in the intensive phase, and we will start the 4 second line drugs. One from the group A. So group A we have discussed is the fluoroquinolones. Group B we have discussed is the injectable aminoglycosides. Group C we have discussed, which has ethionamide, cycloserine, and if it is still required, the group D2 and D3 may be added. So we have 4 second line drugs, one from group A, one from group B and 2 from group C. So we will start the patient with this regime in case of the MDR or rifampicin resistance TB. So talking about the role of the rest or bracing and ambulation protocol in case of the tubercular spine patient. So if the patient is having a severe pain in the back region, a short period of rest may be useful. Otherwise, the bed rest should be avoided. And now, if the patient is ambulatory at the time of diagnosis, he or she should be kept ambulatory. And if the patient is not ambulatory at the time of diagnosis, then she may be provided with 3 to 4 weeks of rest. And later on, the patient should be made ambulatory as early as possible. The role of bracing is basically controversial, and it can be provided only in cases to relieve the pain. Now, whether empirical for second line chemotherapy without a proven resistance can be started. So this is a controversial talk. So if the patient doesn't improve clinically or radiologically after duration of 3 months, in those cases we can think of a drug resistance. So a repeat biopsy is advised to check the same. But if the community is empirical second line drugs can be started depending upon the drug resistance in the community. So if the community is having high prevalence of the drug resistance, in those cases empirical treatment can be started without confirmation with the biopsy. So empirical treatment we have discussed, the second line should consist of 4 new drugs, and out of which 1 should be injectable aminoglycoside. So that is all for the drug resistance part in the TB.